All right, part two of our training camp primer. We've got the Central Division. As we did with the Atlantic Division, I'm going to put up my playoff predictions here. Two teams in the top six, Milwaukee and Cleveland. I've got Chicago as a play-in team, and then the two lottery teams are Detroit and Indiana. So we're going to start with, not in this order, but we're going to start with the Chicago Bulls as far as kind of looking at training camp and as far as some things to watch. As I've said before, 3 minutes on each team, kind of big picture what to watch during training camp. We'll look at some roster issues, or if there's some roster questions as far as cuts that need to be made. And this is the Central Division. So Chicago, certainly the Lonzo Ball surgery out at least 4 to 6 weeks is going to hover around this organization until he's back on the court. 27-13 last year when he was in the lineup, 19-23 when he was on the injured list. Team went in a tailspin with him and Alex Caruso not on the court. They did go out and sign Goran Dragic kind of as an insurance policy to provide starter minutes here, but there's certainly concern as far as what the health of Lonzo Ball is going to be. Last 5 years of games played. 52, 47, 63, 55, and 35. This is not a one-time thing. This has followed him in Los Angeles. It followed him in New Orleans, and it certainly has followed him, the injury bug, in Chicago here. So that's my big picture for Chicago as far as the health of Lonzo. Can DeMar DeRozan duplicate last year? All NBA at the age of 32. We know 28 points per game, 50%. Can you? I mean, it's going to be a big ask for him to duplicate what he did last year. The new $215 million man, Zach LaVine, right? One of 4 players to average 25 points and shoot over 40% on three-pointers. Curry, KD, Kyrie. Has only played 70 games twice in his career. So the durability factor as far as Zach LaVine, we've already talked about Lonzo Ball. The future of Nikola Vucevic, he's on an expiring contract. He's eligible to sign an extension up until June 30th, 4 years, $118 million. We saw a little bit of a decline last year as far as for him. Bunch of tradable assets, certainly the expiring contract of Kobe White. He is rookie extension eligible up until October 17th. Big question will come down to, is Patrick Williams untouchable? They have the Portland first. But they cannot trade any of their own because of prior deals, DeRozan and Vucevic here. 15 guaranteed contracts, so there's not going to be a big roster debate as far as who's going to be, a final cut here. But you could certainly look at a roster of Dragic, LaVine, DeRozan, Williams, Vucevic, Ayo coming off the bench, Caruso, Terry, Derek Jones, Andre Drummond. There's a lot. You're basically kind of walking a fine line to get in as one of these top 6 teams here. So that's kind of why I have them as a play-in team right now. And as I said, October 17th is the deadline to extend Kobe White as far as rookie extension eligible. Cleveland, right? I have them in the top 6. Certainly the Donovan Mitchell trade kind of hovers over this organization here. I think they were probably a play-in team coming into this year before the Mitchell trade. Now it's managing expectations, right? That's going to be the focus. The new backcourt of Garland and Mitchell, 35-23 record and a top 6 seed before the break. 4 players under the age of 23, including Garland and Evan Mobley. This team will not be able to kind of sneak up on teams like they did. This is not going to be a feel-good story like it was last year. Now, Cleveland is expected to compete for a top 6 team, 6 seed. I have them in the top 6. Anything less, I think would be certainly a disappointment. They've got these 2 big contracts, Karis LeVert and Kevin Love. Both are extension eligible up until June 30th. Both make a combined $45 million. We saw Dean Wade come off the board with a 3-year, $18.5 million extension over the weekend, as Woj reported here. He is not trade eligible. Big question, who is your starting small forward? Isaac Okoro, LeVert. You can certainly put Dean Wade. That's kind of my big focus in the training camp primer that's up on ESPN.com. We've got a veteran bench, right? Raul Neto, Ricky Rubio we'll see eventually here, Kevin Love, Robin Lopez, possibly LeVert if Okoro starts. So bench has certainly improved in Cleveland. They've got 13 guaranteed contracts with the Wade contract now guaranteed. Lamar Stevens is on a non-guaranteed deal, a bunch of exhibit 10s and 2As. And they're well positioned here. They are about $2.5 million under the luxury tax, so they can go out and add a 15th roster spot and not be concerned with the luxury tax in Cleveland. So a top 6 team in Cleveland this year. Detroit, we saw them we did the video on the Bojan Bogdanovic, Kelly Olynyk trade, Saban Lee last week. So now you've got Bogdanovic in the mix here. My big questions coming into this season: was post All-Star break performance fool's gold? 11-16 record, 12-43 before the break, in a league worst 10.1 point differential. Right? They only lost 2 games by 10 plus points since the All-Star break. So was that fool's gold, or was it just kind of was it a point where other teams were either resting players? So I think I'm interested to see what kind of start this Detroit team gets out to. We get to year 2 of Cade Cunningham, 6th rookie since the merger to average 25-5 in the second half of the season. Luka, Curry, LeBron, Grant Hill, Michael Jordan. Right now, the new backcourt paired up with Jaden Ivey, the front court of Sadiq Bey and Marvin Bagley. So you could probably go Bogdanovic, Sadiq Bey, probably Isaiah Stewart. You could probably have Bagley come off the bench. Bey played one of 4 or 5 guys to play all 82 games. Bagley 14-7 in 27 minutes since the All-Star break when they acquired him in a trade. 8 games as starter, 16 points, 60% from the field. So young players, right? We're still on emphasis on player development. Even with the Bogdanovic trade here, you're going to see Kemba Walker get waived. He is the 16th guaranteed spot. He will get waived by October 17th. So from a roster standpoint, you're looking at Cunningham, Ivy, Bey, Bogdanovic, Stewart. Your bench, Joseph, Hayes, Burks, Bagley, Jalen Duren, Nerlens Noel. You still have Hamidou Diallo, Kevin Knox. So I like your depth, right? You will be better here. I don't think you can compete for a play-in spot, which is not the end of the world, because I think you're still a year away from taking that big jump here. But I'm intrigued as far as what this Pistons team. I could see them winning 32-34 wins this upcoming season. We mentioned Kemba Walker as far as them waiving him before of the start of camp. Indiana, they are another team that I have in the lottery here. Big questions, big picture questions. The future of Miles Turner. He's renegotiation and extension eligible. Remember, Indiana's got $29 million in cap space. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2023. Missed 39 games last year, right? With that stress reaction. Has missed 125 since the 2015-16 season. Has played only 89 in the last 2 games. Player development 101, as I call it. 4th youngest roster in the NBA. 6 players on first-round contracts. Building blocks are certainly Halliburton and Mathurin. As I mentioned, they've got close to $30 million in room, so they can be a team that can go out and take back Jay Crowder in a deal and maybe get a couple second-round picks if Phoenix is looking kind of just to dump his contract here. So open roster spot. They can become a facilitator, 3rd team, take back money. We'll see what happens with Westbrook down the road. They're about 15.5 below the floor. 13 guaranteed contracts, 3 partials, non-guarantees. I think you're looking at Halliburton, Mathurin, Duarte, Turner, Jalen Smith, and then you've got McConnell, Hield, Naismith, O'Shea Brissett, Daniel Tice. That's kind of your roster in Indiana, but this is going to be player development 101 again. Probably a team that's going to win 24 to 26 games. They'll play hard every night, but I don't see them competing for a play-in spot right now. Milwaukee, they are a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. They are a team that can compete for a championship. They are a team that can get out of the Eastern Conference here. My concern, big picture, and this is in the training camp primer, is the injury timeline of Chris Middleton and Joe Ingles. We saw that addressed over the weekend. Milwaukee is one of these teams that were able to start earlier because they're going overseas. We don't know if Middleton will be back for the regular season. He had surgery on his wrist on July 12th. Ingles had surgery on his ACL on February 23rd. I think we're probably looking at more like Christmas for him. We saw in the Boston series that this team does not have enough when Chris Middleton is out. My big question is, does this team have enough scoring if he misses an extended period of time? I think you're probably looking at end of October, maybe early November for Chris Middleton. There's certainly the depth is a concern. Middleton's also extension eligible. He's got a player option for next year. He can be extended up until October 17th, or if he declines that option, that $40 million option, he can be extended for another 4 years up until June 30th. Remember, though, the first year of the contract has to start at that option number that was declined. So if it's 40, it's got to start at least at 40. Those are the extension options of Middleton. The continuity factor, 13 out of the 15 with Jordan Nwora. 13 out of the 15 players under contract are from the team that lost to Boston in the second round, oldest team in the NBA. You have 15 guaranteed contracts on this team. You are a luxury tax team. You have a 2029 first and 8 seconds. And you also have the expiring contract of Brook Lopez. Does Milwaukee look to extend? I have concerns a little bit about your depth when you look at Javon Carter, Connaughton, Nwora, Beauchamp, Ibaka, Portis, George Hill. That's kind of where you are right now until Middleton and Ingles come back. And then everyone else gets pushed down because you might be looking at Holiday, Allen, Matthews, Giannis, and Brook as your starting five. So I have some concerns about your depth in Milwaukee.